It is cut day in the NFL. By today, 4 o'clock, every team, including the New York Jets, must cut down their rosters from 90 players to 53. We'll recap some of the ones they had and maybe some trades that could be coming, plus a historic day in the Haason Reddick saga. And we get into all of it with your guy, Jake Asman.
I'm going to lose my gosh-darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
I made it clear that my intention was to play, and my intention was to play for the New York Jets.
You're fucking wrong!
Good morning, Coffee Club. Boy Green here, a.k.a. Paul Esden Jr. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. And again, it is cutdown day today, so there'll be a lot of news and action. We'll be live a handful of times today, also with James Woody in a couple of hours. But we're live right off the top with the maestro of the Asmaniacs and Fresh Shaven. Let's bring him in, Jake Asman of the Jake Asman Show here on the program. What's up, Jakey?
Hey, Paul. Always great to join you. Glad it's on your channel. I know you're coming on mine later this week, so a little home and home, as they say.
Yes, which I'm all for. My people and your people were able to hammer out that deal very quickly. The same cannot be said for Haason Reddick, and I tweeted it out today, Jake. We are on a historic day. I'll read it to you, the tweet that I ended up putting together. Again, shout out to Ritsamini, who had the latest days yesterday from the Darrelle Revis thing, but today, on Tuesday, August 27th, is day 36 of the Haason Reddick holdout, which has now surpassed Darrelle Revis' 35-day holdout from 2010. Again, a tip of the cap to Rich Cimini for that one. And, of course, that was documented on Hard Knocks. So I said, oh, man, where are we at on the money? So I added up the skipping of OTAs, the mandatory minicamp, the training camp fines, the additional discretionary fines, plus the entirety of the preseason missed, and beep boop bop, we're up to $4.77 million in lost money for Haason Reddick, who is scheduled, and I say scheduled with a capital S, to make $14.25 million, but that does not obviously include the lost money that is included here, plus additional lost money that could be coming during the regular season. Jake, here on less than 2 weeks from the season, it was 2 weeks from yesterday is the Monday night home opener. What is your reaction now with all of this at your feet?
Yeah, I think at this point, I have just kind of mentally thought, all right, if you get him for week one, it's a bonus, because I just don't see them getting a deal done between now and probably like right before that deadline of if he doesn't show up, he's not eligible for his first game check. I think it was Rich Cimini who said it's either September 2nd or September 3rd, that kind of line of demarcation where you need to report to be eligible for your game check for week one. And let's say he does show up on September 2nd or the 3rd right after Labor Day. Just because he's there, this is not a guy that's been with the team or has been in the team in previous years. So are you really going to put him out there against the San Francisco 49ers? I mean, how much of the defense, does he know? I know you could say, well, just go rush the quarterback, but it's a little more complex than just go out there and play. What type of shape is he in? So, I think at this point, I would be surprised if anything happens today, the next couple of days. I think the true date for something to get done, either he just shows up or the Jets and Reddick's agent come together and say, let's do something here. I think it's that September 2nd or September 3rd date. I never thought it would go this long, but now that we're kind of dug into this point, I don't see it ending till we get to that line of demarcation next week.
We're in perfect alignment, Jake. I never thought it would get this far, so I thought it was going to get figured out. Now that we're here, I'm like, oh boy, he's missing week one as far as I'm concerned. And then I will be surprised the other way if all of a sudden we get some sort of a late burst, because he seems dug in. If he was willing to light $4.77 million on fire, what's another game check? And those are the money checks that are set to come as players are paid on a week-to-week basis. So if he does not report, and for those who don't know, he does not count right now against the 90-man roster that the Jets have to cut down to. He's on the did not report list, so the Jets have an additional roster spot to play with. Who do you think is the benefit of that roster spot? And I'm assuming that's the same player if Reddick shows up tomorrow who will immediately be cut to fill that spot.
You also could probably do like some roster gymnastics too, with like Tack McKinley, who's like a vested veteran, that type of thing. We saw this last year. I think it was with Thomas Morstead, right? They kind of did
Correct.
some roster gymnastics there. McKinley would be someone I would highlight because you need to basically have a wink, wink handshake agreement with a veteran that, hey, we're going to cut you to basically clear a spot. Let us then maybe stash someone on injured reserve to open up another spot. So there's kind of ways they could get around like not losing a player just because Reddick shows up. I think it's a good problem to have. I do think, though, like you talk about some of the final decisions here, like Braden McGregor, for example, or a Leonard Taylor. Like these guys are like right on that cut line of how many defensive linemen can you take if you factor Reddick into your D-line room, which you obviously do when he shows up at some point. I think that's kind of what you're looking at. My hope is because of the way you could stash guys on IR, you could create maybe a roster spot here or there with a guy like Tack McKinley, all this like minutia cap stuff that the Jets know how to do that I sound silly even trying to explain to your audience right now. I'm hoping there's a way they basically can handle it where they're not actually losing a player they want to keep.
Jake, you're a good guy with confidence. You say so, you'd be like, Paul, the sky's pink. Well, I mean, Jake just said it right there. I believe it. So I'm in. So, yes, continue with your capology. It is spectacular as we're setting this thing up here. There's no doubt about it. All right, let me get into this with this Jets roster gymnastics that we're going to get into. Actually, before that, I'm curious with this. So the Jets are the only one dealing with problems. You go to 49ers land, Trent Williams, Jeremy Fowler shares it yesterday. He plans on continuing to hold out till his contract's resolved. Brandon Ayuk, he's been a hold in. Reddick might have wanted to take a few notes there. He'd have $4.77 million more, perhaps if you would have chosen that. So that one's hanging out in the mix. And then Christian McCaffrey has the calf. But specifically, the one I want to get to is this. If the Jets don't have Reddick week 1 and the 49ers don't have Trent Williams, who has the advantage with both of the teams sacrificing one of their better players?
I think it's advantage Jets because Trent Williams is the best left tackle in the league. And it's not like without Reddick, the Jets don't have guys who could still rush the quarterback. Like Jermaine Johnson was in the Pro Bowl last year. Quentin Williams up the middle with Aaron Donald retiring is maybe the best interior defensive lineman in the sport. You have Will McDonald, who you expect to take a leap forward. So I think you combine just like the value for each player. I think the Jets would value more if, hey, we don't have Reddick, you don't have Trent Williams. Like if you said to Robert Saleh, would you take that trade? I think he would. So I think it's the Jets.
Again, I hope Reddick's there, but I tweeted out the video from one of the greatest cinematic masterpieces of all time, Beverly Hills Ninja, where Chris Farley throws aside the swords and Martin Tanley throws aside the gun and let's battle. Okay, we'll both agree to throw our weapons to the side. I like it for the Jets because, Trent Williams pretty gosh darn good. I like the Jets' chances of getting some sort of a pass rush versus whatever the backup plan is for the San Francisco 49ers. We'll perhaps get into that a little bit later. We'll also take your phone calls in a bit. Make sure the 300 people in the room, you guys like the video, hit subscribe. We appreciate you. Let me get into this. So there is cutdown day today, but sometimes what we see is if the Jets plan on cutting a guy, but they could get something for him, it's better to flip that player and get an asset as opposed to losing him for nothing. And Jake Asman, I see we have Jake Asman, the Jake Asman show behind it, the little white label underneath it. Go to jakeasman.com/shop. So we got that going on with the Jake Asman merch shop. But something else you may have is president of the Austin Seibert fan club. You joined Connor's show and said, hey, this is a guy you may want to keep an eye out for. And all of a sudden, stock has been immediately up on Austin Seibert. Coincidence? I think not. So is he a guy that the Jets obviously have Greg Zuerlein, despite the fact we had some of those kicking issues in the Giants game? Like, Seibert, is he a guy that could kind of get moved? We've seen a lot of kicker trades the last year and a half.
Yeah, I don't know what they could get for him, but I guess he could get moved. Now, I'll say this. It kind of felt like they were showcasing him in the preseason. Well, maybe they shouldn't have been doing that if, Greg Zuerlein needed some extra reps. I'm not going to sit there and panic, but he did miss 2 kicks in that Giants game. So certainly something to watch. I do pray, by the way, that the first kick Zuerlein has to make that actually means something is an extra point after the Jets score on their opening drive, just to kind of ease the nerves. It's not like a 50-yarder that he's got to try and hit, and then he starts to get in his head. Not worried. I'm just saying. But I do think maybe he's someone that they could flip for a later round pick. It's possible. I mean, heck, if they're trying to keep all these defensive linemen, I know, he's a polarizing player. Could Michael Clemens be someone that maybe they could flip for a pick to clear a spot for another younger player on the team? Izzy Abanikanda, if they're choosing to only keep 3 running backs, I don't think he's going to be able to make it through waivers. I think someone would claim him based on what he has shown this summer. So maybe you could get something for him. But, personally, I hope that they could actually just keep Seibert on the practice squad, because remember, Greg DeLeg had to miss a game last year, and Seibert came in against the Cowboys in that game you and I were both at, and he hit his kicks. So not a bad thing to have, but you bring up a good point with them maybe being able to flip them for a later round pick.
Yeah, let's go into Izzy. I was watching our fellow compatriot, Matt O'Leary. He was doing a video on the Jets, Cowboys, sparking of trades, and Cowboys fans going, ooh, Izzy to the hissy. We'd love that in Big D. So I ask you that. Is that a guy you'd rather keep as your RB4 or bringing a different style to the team? Or just say, you know what, we got our own new thing. We got Brees, we got a couple of rookies. We could just replace Izzy with some other inconsequential player. Let's just trade Izzy to another team and let them have him.
I truly hope they keep Izzy Abanikanda. And I wasn't saying this a couple of weeks ago, but the more you look at his summer, Paul, what more could the guy really do, right? Like, he went out there, he knew his roster spot was on the line. They drafted 2 running backs in this most recent draft class. And this guy went out there on 21 carries in 3 preseason games and averaged 6.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, had 129 yards, didn't have a penalty, no drops, no fumbles. Like, what more can the guy do? And he plays a position where, as much as we love Breece Hall and we've been impressed by Braylon Allen and even Isaiah Davis, it's a high volatile position in regards to injuries. So you're one injury away from maybe needing Izzy Abanikanda. So I hope he's on the team. I wasn't saying that a couple of weeks ago, but I think he's done a really nice job. I mean, you have the Cowboys bringing in Dalvin Cook, who's more washed than like my 15-year-old sheets, like give me a break. That just shows you how desperate teams are for running backs. Like, Izzy has flashed this summer. I'm keeping him, assuming there's a way to do it, which I think if you go through some of the roster gymnastics, there is a way to keep 4 running backs. They did it last year.
There's no question about it. By the way, everybody, the pinned comment on YouTube right now is how you guys can join the Boy Green Coffee Club, baby, to expand the army. Feel free to do so. We'd love to play some chimes on this show, so feel free. And also keep your questions coming as well, and we'll get to them. One more player that could be moved that caused a lot of back and forth on social media yesterday is on NFL.com, Eric Edholm, who's really like a lead NFL draft writer, but NFL uses him as an analyst as well. He listed a bunch of players that he believes could be traded ahead of cutdown day. And one of the players on his list was Max Mitchell. So I'm kind of curious, for a guy like last offseason, we went through 13 different combinations of offensive line play. And now a year later, we might have so much depth that we're trading it. Is that a mistake if the Jets consider doing something of that nature? Even though Max Mitchell may not be the greatest guy in the world, it's still depth. He's a guy that started games before, and maybe the Jets should, again, to your point, the Austin Seibert of keeping him on the practice squad, the Max Mitchell of just in case, maybe keeping him is better, or, again, if the opportunity presents itself, would you be open to a trade?
I want to keep him. Like, what are you really getting for Max Mitchell? I like Eric Edholm a lot, but I wonder where that is necessarily coming from. Max Mitchell, when I was at camp this summer, when they were basically easing Morgan Moses into his role on the offensive line coming off the shoulder surgery he was out there with the ones as the right tackle. Like, this guy could play tackle. He could play guard. He does have experience. He's played now in this offense for a full season, so he's going into year 2. So, like, I don't want to sit here and like make Max Mitchell like, this great player, but for depth purposes, I think you could do a lot worse than Mitchell. I would just keep him. I have him as one of my 10 linemen making the 53.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. I'm leaning more towards you because, injuries happen. And what are we talking about here? A future 6th, a future 7th? Like, that's inconsequential to a team that's trying to do everything in their power to win the Super Bowl. I see this question from 19 New York Jets 69 saying, hey, guys, after today, do you guys think we'll grab from the – yeah, absolutely. Epic name. Nice. From the scrap heap, what position do you think we grab? Because, of course, for people who don't know, again, you cut them down to 4 o'clock. You're 90 to 53. Then, of course, the waiver wire period where it's this free agency of sorts for a lot of these players. Is there a position you're looking out for the Jets to add?
Wide receiver, I think, is a position to watch. I don't think it is a lock that they are keeping 6 or 7 receivers. I think we have the 5 guys that are locked in. Everyone knows Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Allen Lazard, Malachi Corley, Xavier Gibson. And then I think from there, I wonder, or Xavier, did I say Xavier Gibson? Hopefully I did.
You did. Yes. Yep.
Anyway, You got those 5, and then 6 and 7. I mean, I know there's people who like Jason Brownlee, but I don't know. He didn't do enough where I definitely feel like I need to have him on this team. Same with Herb Charles, because Herb Charles is a guy who, I understand maybe he did a little more this summer as a receiver, but to me, he's still more of a special teamer. And I don't think he's enough of like this great gunner on special teams that you need to keep him at all costs. I thought Quantez Stiggers did a really nice job in that role this summer. He could do it. So to me, if there's a veteran receiver that becomes available, they could add someone to that room and make that room potentially better. So that's the one position group I'm looking at and thinking, if there's a guy out there, maybe they could add someone. Same thing with the tight end room, by the way. I think they're going to keep 3, but if there's someone else they really like on another team that becomes available, it wouldn't shock me if they added another tight end.
Please, Jets, don't keep Anthony Firkser. With all due respect, he sucks. I don't want a wasted roster spot on this rando who has just been available. I just absolutely don't. I've seen a few 53-man roster predictions have him in and initiate the gag reflex, Jake Asman. Initiate the gag reflex. It's disgusting. Have you, for your wide receivers, are there any names that you've been kind of peeking around other rosters, seeing who are bubble players, or is there a name you have in mind that could fill that hole you're talking about?
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not someone that they would add off waivers, but there is a report that teams have called the Texans about John Mechie. Now I checked in with some people I know in Houston that cover the team. They don't expect Mechie to be cut or traded, but they have a lot of receivers there. He played well in the preseason. Maybe that is a potential name to watch as a possible trade candidate. And I think Donovan Peoples-Jones got cut yesterday.
He did. I heard the Tim Patrick rumors. Yeah.
So there's a couple guys that would be probably a better wide receiver 6 than Jason Brownlee or Brandon Smith or Herb Charles.
Yeah, that's for sure. I see Harvey's in the chat. A shout out to Harvey's having back surgery today, so wish you luck, buddy. All the best for your surgery that is coming up here from that. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this because I also saw Rich Samini, thankfully, gave us an update on Instagram. But Peter says, love the cornerback depth this year, but what's up with MC2? Will he be ready for the opener? We haven't seen him in weeks, but Rich Samini reiterated it was the last day of training camp. He hopped on his Instagram videos and gives takeaways, which, by the way, I've very much enjoyed that content. That's been an exclusive Instagram bid. And he says he had zero concerns about Michael Carter II being ready for the opener, because if he isn't, I'm curious how they reshuffle the cornerback room to fill in the nickel, because I don't know from what, I spoke with Joe Blewett and said, who on this roster can flip back and forth? And he said some of these guys can't, like Stiggers, and he went through a couple other names and think they can't. So all of a sudden now you're getting crazy with like, is Ashton Davis playing big nickel? All of a sudden it goes down south really quick here. From everything you've heard, Jake, is MC2 ready for week 1?
That's the expectation, right? I mean, you look at the Jets this summer, and knock on wood, but now between now and 13 days, this remains the case. But that's been their most serious injury to this point, right? Like, and Michael Carter is expected to be ready to roll for week 1. I mean, Rodgers healthy, Tyron Smith healthy, Mike Williams healthy, like all the guys who have some of the bigger injury question marks. Even AVT coming back from his Achilles injury, he's been out there. We haven't really heard his name called at all, which tells you he's probably having a really good camp if that's the case with offensive linemen. So I think he should be good. And if that's the case, you cross your fingers they finally get some injury luck this year, because we are certainly owed that as Jet fans.
There's no question about it. What about Brandon Codrington, who I see a lot of people are saying in here? Some are saying, is he staying? Is he coming back? Because he would be, I would suppose, the reserve nickel corner if the Jets were to have it. That's how it has been orchestrated on the unofficial depth chart. Fun returner. We haven't seen much of him in terms of the defensive reps throughout the preseason. What's your temperature check on Brandon?
He was on my initial 53 like a couple weeks ago, but then I had to take him off because I couldn't find a spot for him when I'm keeping like 10 defensive linemen. I'm now keeping a 4th running back because of how well Izzy has played. So I couldn't find a spot for a 7th defensive back that is only really a special teamer. I couldn't do it. Now, maybe the Jets feel differently. I think Brant Boyer will have a lot of say in that with these new kickoff rules. If he thinks, hey, this guy could be a true weapon for us now with these rules, it's worth keeping him. Then maybe they would, because this is a team that for the last couple of years did employ Justin Hardy, who was essentially a special teams only player. but I think the roster is a little different this year as far as the depth. So it might not be as easy to do such a thing. That all said, I wouldn't be shocked if he made the team, but I don't have him making my 53 if you ask me right now.
Again, we have 600 people in the room. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe, and keep that coming. Plus, the new pins comment on YouTube is how you guys can call into the program, and we'll bring you on. You guys can ask Jake a couple of questions here on the program. Feel free to do so. Also be working in some of your guys' questions as well here. So we have Johnny Boy, Chaz Surratt, Robert Sala's favorite, the great Hard Knocks clip of I bleep and love that guy. What about, and before we do that, baby, we got to make it rain. Jake Asman, multitasker extraordinaire, gifting the frickin' memberships for the Boy Green Coffee Club for the love of everything that's holy. You were gifted from the gods. This is not some normal gifted membership wrapped in a present. It's from Jake Asman. So say thank you, for Pete's sake, for getting that wonderful membership. And let's get this party raining, baby. That'd be beautiful. So appreciate Jake Asman for doing that. We'll get back to your question, Johnny, in a second, because we have the legend himself. He has been, I saw yesterday, Jake Asman, emoji. Wait, how do you guys say it on the show, Jake? I always mess it up.
So they're called emojis, right? But we have one of our great listeners, Keith Best, who referred to it as Edgemos. So we jokingly call it Edgemos on the show.
That's right. There it is. Okay, Edgemos. And we had one of these for this guy, Hep, who has been forever immortalized. He enjoyed us on the show. Hep, what's up, brother?
How you doing, Paul? Hey, Jake. Good to see you, bud.
Hep, this is the only time I get to talk to you, man. You got to figure out how to sign into YouTube or Facebook so you can get back on my show.
I know. Every time I go on, I said, let me try it. I said, God damn it. Oh, well, I'll figure it out.
Hit reset password on Facebook. It's very easy. I've done it many times.
All right, I'll do that then. I'll try the reset password. Awesome. I do have a question concerning the new tackling rules. Maybe you could go over that for me. How do the new tackling rules, how does the Jets benefit from that?
The hip drop tackle, I'm assuming, is what he's talking about, Jake.
Yeah. How do they benefit from it? I mean, they're a really good defense. They should be fundamentally sound, so they should make less mistakes than maybe other teams when it comes to that rule. It's still such a tough rule to officiate. I think we all could picture the Jets getting completely boned by it at some point in a big regular season game. You hope that doesn't happen, but I fear that's going to cost some team, maybe the Jets, a game early, and we're all going to freak out. When we're watching football, it seems like every time there's a new rule the NFL puts in early on, the refs call it a lot to kind of send a message, and then maybe they back off of it as the year goes on. So,
what is the rule? What is the rule?
So it's essentially you're grabbing the guy and just dead dropping like my child does to me in the living room, and I fall down like a sack of potatoes. They just grab you and dead weight. So like instead of going through a proper tackle, you just drop down on someone's leg. That's how Tony Pollard broke his leg in the Cowboys 49ers playoff game. It's just Mark Andrews, how he got hurt by the goal line because they kind of yank you back, and then you have nowhere else to go. So the pressure just kind of compounds on the leg. The thing I will say, which hopefully is good news, is when the NFL announced this rule change, they also said it only happened in certain amount of the time this past season, which was less than 5%. So it didn't happen a lot, but when it did, it was devastating, obviously, to these gruesome injuries. It reminds me back of the horse collar when Roy Williams grabbed T.O. and yanked him back and broke his leg, and he ended up coming back in the Super Bowl because Eagles made it all the way there. But like it was such a devastating play that took people out of the game. They said, oh, we got to remove this. So same way. It didn't happen often, but when it did, it was very, very intense.
It should benefit all running backs, though, don't you think, though?
Yeah, that not being there 100%, because guys, I imagine if you're like cutting and then you have guys kind of hanging on you to know that they can't, well, I mean, I guess they can, it'll be a penalty, I guess, but like they shouldn't be coached in the way to just drop like they used to. It should protect running backs 100%.
All right. Thanks, guys. Love you. See you on the rebound.
Appreciate you, Hep. There we go. Hep joining us here on the program.
He doesn't know how to call in, Boy Green, to my show because I have like the protection.
Oh, I heard you say that, right? For so you get rid of the bots. You get rid of the bots.
Exactly. And Hep used to be a regular, and he's got to be able to sign into his YouTube or Facebook, man. He doesn't know his password.
Okay, so there's two things here. He has to figure that out, and apparently he's working on a brand new Boy Green Daily song to play on his guitar. So that should be getting sent in. He says he's putting all kinds of different instruments behind. I'm like, okay, this is going to be quite a doozy, no question about it. So I can't wait for that coming up on the show as well. So screw the bots; they're trying to take over the world, and Jake is not going to let them in. We appreciate that. All right, let's go to the phone line. This guy was just asking a question, so he said, "F it, I will just call in myself." Johnny Boy here on the program, who's a new member of the
Hey,
Boy Green
my
Coffee
brother,
Club.
what's up,
What's
bro?
up, Johnny?
Boy, Gene. Hey, is it only me, but when you have like Hep on, you just, even though I know he can't see me, I start waving when he says bye.
Oh
It,
yeah. Because and also his like introductory message. I don't know if it. I assume it is everywhere. I assume it's not just a me thing. But every time he comments on a video, it's "Hey fellers," and then I always just I see it, and that's like his unique call sign. So I always see that. Yes, there's a lot of waving happening there. Yeah.
yeah, so it's one of those, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm an idiot. This dude can't see me. What am I doing now?
There you go. Yeah.
That's called lack of sleep.
That's all
Anyways,
right. Yeah.
Jake, I wanted to ask you because you said you have pretty much finalized your 10 linemen that you're gonna have for the D line, right? Who are those bottom last four players on there? I'm just intrigued by seeing that because I think for myself, that's probably been the hardest position to want to go ahead and have set. And if so, are there going to be any kind of like roster gymnastics to what Boy Green yesterday was kind of saying in regards to like what Thomas Morstead did, where he said, "Oh, I'm not going to sign until like, later on just to get another roster spot on a handshake deal."
Yeah, I definitely could see that happening. So the 10 I have includes Reddick as one of the 10 because I think he does show up like around Labor Day or right after, so he could get his game check for week 1, even if he doesn't play week 1. The 10 I have are Quinnen, Jermaine, Haason, Solomon Thomas, Kinlaw, Will McDonald, Clemens. I got Tack making the team, but he might be cut as we talked about and then kind of finagled. Fotu's on the team. Leonard Taylor's on the team,
Okay.
and McGregor's on the team, and I think that's 10.
Nice. So you are on the LT, the third boat, which I am too. That dude's been phenomenal. And I love the name McGregor. I think the name McGregor is badass. McGregor off the edge. So anyways, I appreciate you guys, man. Keep doing your stuff. Jake, you look like you came straight out of Ithaca right now, man. Just graduated over there. So
I know. I look young, man. It's people have said you look 16 again. I'm like, damn, the beard's growing back there. It's already coming in. I will predict by Friday, or actually Thursday this week when Boy Green comes on the channel, I think I will look a lot closer to how I normally look. It grows fast.
Awesome, dude. I can't wait to meet you on the home opener, man. You and BG. It'll be a good time, man. So
Can't wait.
Guys.
Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate you, man. And thank you to Sco. Good morning, Paul and Jake.
Wow.
Alrighty, baby. We love the super chats coming in. Those are absolutely terrific. We've got Jake for a few more minutes here, people, and we've got 800 people in the room. So keep the action going. We absolutely love it. So make sure all that is popping, locking, and dropping. Let me actually double check this. I wanted to see, Jake. Do you know the not the opening line, but the line right now for the Jets 49ers game? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Well, so when I was in Vegas, it was going down. It was 4 in some spots, and now I think I saw 3.5 in some spots as well. So that tells you 1, money's coming in on the Jets, and 2, now it's starting to get real with the uncertainty of Ayuk, Trent Williams, and no one's talking about it. Are we sure Christian McCaffrey's playing? I'm not. Why would they rush him back if he's not 100%? You never know with a calf injury. Like, as big of a game as it feels, because it's Monday night, it's the first game. The Niners have been in the Super Bowl the last couple of years. They were in it last year. Like, they're not going to look at this like they need to win this game where their season's over. Like, we as Jet fans, like, it's Aaron's first game back. There's all this hype and excitement. Like, it's way bigger for the Jets and, like, the fan base and the morale than it is for the Niners. Like, they're not going to risk McCaffrey unless he's 100%.
All right, let me ask you this, Jake. If the 49ers are compromising in any way, no Trent or no Christian or no Ayuk, any one of those combinations, will you look at all, if the Jets win this game or go through the season, will we all look back and go, well, this, that, or the other?
No, I won't, because did anyone give the Jets a break when they lost Aaron Rodgers last year? No.
No.
By 10 minutes after the injury, he's already being memed across the country, and people have no respect whatsoever for the Jets. They get covered like they won 3 games last year, like they were the Carolina Panthers. They won 7 with a traffic cone at quarterback. No one gave the Jets any benefit of the doubt. They get talked about like they're this dysfunctional, terrible franchise, and it's like, yeah, in the past they have been that, but can we actually pay attention to this roster? And I think as people have actually done their homework, there are respected voices who now realize, wait a second, this team might actually be pretty good. But I will feel zero sympathy for the Niners or anyone trying to say, well, you beat them without this player. I do not care. The Jets lost Aaron Rodgers 4 plays in. No one gave them a break. Injuries happen. Sucks to suck. And I hope the Jets stomp all over the Niners, because that to me is the only way you got to look at it.
You mentioned the traffic cone. I don't know. I'm sure you did see it, Jake. There was a lot of people bashing the Jets over the weekend for old ZW and how he performed with the Denver Broncos. And look, see, all he had to do was get away from the Jets to unlock his full powers. What is your response to those people? And again, of course, people are referencing Zach Wilson, who looked really good in the preseason, apparently. The final game, I saw a couple of throws. I went, oh, okay. And then I went away from it. But then I saw the narrative, the noise on social media of, oh, look, LOL Jets, Broncos got him again. What do you say to those people?
I was waiting for this, but because Zach Wilson didn't play well in the first 2 preseason games, the Wilson truthers were very quiet. So because he had a good game in the final one, mind you, where he was the 3rd quarterback to enter the game, he's the 3rd string quarterback. I mean, he should look good. He's in his 4th year in the NFL. And I really don't hate Zach Wilson. I hate his fans. Yeah. I hate the truthers. But the people saying that stuff, check the bio. They were all from Provo, Utah. So, gee, I wonder why. At the end of the day, Zach Wilson is the 3rd string quarterback, right? And that goes back to my point I was making just before. Zach Wilson, 3rd stringer in Denver. Tim Boyle, 4th stringer in Houston, going to be cut and probably added to their practice squad. Trevor Siemian out of the league. Those are the 3 quarterbacks that the Jets won 7 games with last year. Now they have Aaron Rodgers and they have Tyrod Taylor. Tell me why this Jets team is not winning at least 10 or more games.
So sorry, ZW people, not today. Not today. Let's go back to the phone lines. We got Dave Briga joining us. What's up, Dave?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. See Jake up early there.
Yeah.
Hey, Jake, I have the same issues. I can't get through that password. So I can never get on your show.
YouTube, just change the password, man. It's like your Gmail. That's all it is.
Okay, well, I'm going to give it another shot when you're on next time. So.
All right.
How's everybody today?
I miss you, Dave. I like your comments, but it's great to see your face.
It's good to see you too, gentlemen. Anyway, today's a big day. We got to save those pass rushers because we're going to need them, because I don't believe Reddick's ever going to be here. I just don't. You know how these fellas are with those agents. If it didn't happen by now, you think it's going to happen?
Well, I mean, if it doesn't, I just say this, if Haason Reddick ever wants to play the sport of football again, he has no other choice. He has to eventually show up for the, like, it's different for people who don't know. The Le'Veon Bell thing where he skipped out an entire year, he was under the franchise tag, but he never signed it. So technically he was never under contract, so they couldn't fine him or anything. And then the following year, Steelers just said, F this, just go, leave. And then they let him go. It would behoove the Jets zero to ever let Reddick go for nothing. For what? Why would they do him a solid for no reason whatsoever? So if he skips this entire year, the Jets will control his rights next year, and he will retire as a member of the Jets if he never plays. So to what Jake said earlier, he has to play a certain amount of games for his contract to count towards a year. It's like 6, 7, 8 games. I got to look it up in the NFL rulebook to see whatever that number is, but he has to appear at least for a certain chunk of the season for this year to count, and that's prorated too, so the Jets would save the money. They wouldn't owe him his full year salary if that was to happen. So he eventually has to show up. So that's what I lean on and why he eventually has to show up, but I don't think he's going to push it there, because how many NFL teams are going to pay the crazy money Haason Reddick wants for a guy who showed up for 5 games and had 4 sacks? He's never going to get the money he wants. Plus, he'll be a year older. So I think he doesn't show up for week 1. I think he shows up for week 2, and then we go through the rest of the year. That's kind of my gut feeling.
Well, they're not going to give him a long-term contract. That's what I think the whole problem is. I think the whole problem stems from Howie Roseman. You see, if you know Reddick, any history about him, he comes from Camden. He's a Temple guy. And I think Howie Roseman must have burned him really bad, because he really wanted to stay in Philly. So, I mean, I think this has a lot to do with it. You know, with Howie Roseman burning the whole situation, and he and Joe Douglas creating this deal without signing him. without Douglas signing him first for the trade. And it's apparently something has gone wrong. The misconnections with this long-term contract. That has to be the issue. That somebody must have said something that we fans don't know about, which we, even the media. So it's I don't know how long this is going to go on, but if it keeps going on, I mean, here's the other problem. We all know if they sign him and when they sign him, the probabilities this isn't going to work out because of injury. It's that's a big factor here. I mean, he's going to come into the season without any really football preparation. I mean, I saw those videos yesterday, him working out. I mean, that's ridiculous.
6 seconds, baby. Oh yeah.
Come on. We're not stupid here. Come on. It's it's all a game. It's all a game. It's always about the money. This really hurts the team. It really hurts the team.
The thing that just bothers me, though, again, if Reddick has these past relationships that hurt him, why are you unloading on us, man? Go see a therapist. Why do the Jets geez, I've never been paid. So what? Then talk to those people. It's not our fault. They haven't been paid.
He has a bad agent. He has a bad agent.
Yes, I don't know.
He's bad news. He's bad news.
Seems strange. Yeah.
Anyway, let's get to the cuts today. We need to protect that McGregor. That guy reminds me, if anybody remembers him, Ted Hendricks. Remember Ted Hendricks? Used to play for the Raiders years ago.
Yeah.
Well, take a look at some films. He has the same body type as Ted Hendricks. He played for the Raiders. He played originally for the Colts. He came out of Miami Hurricanes. That guy was terrific. This guy's got some edge on him. Plus, I really like him because he's a former hockey player, and that's my game.
He's a big boy, 6'6". Yeah,
he's got some bend. You can't get rid of that guy. He's going to get picked up, snatched up like nothing. Plus, I read that they paid him $225,000 to sign.
Oh, wow. So that's more than I thought. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, so what happens to that money? That just evaporates?
Yeah, he just gets it. Yeah, he gets it for the journey of whatever it is. If it's a long-term journey where he's there they sign him for the rest of the season, or if he's just there for basically of what spring and camp ends up being. Yes.
Well, he and the Taylor III, they have to stay. They'll have to figure it out. I mean, you can't let those guys go for shit, and keep Codrington and Izzy Abanikanda. I mean, and some of the reserve defensive backs that could be replaced. We know those positions, the offensive line, the defensive pass rushers in the line. Those are the premium things you need in today's game. So if you don't have them, I think they're smart enough on D to realize that. I hope anyway. So
we'll see. We'll see today, I suppose.
So we'll see, gentlemen. And Codrington, I don't think he's staying. They may be able to. They'll gamble. Maybe they can get him on hopefully nobody picks him up and bring him back.
We'll see. Fingers crossed. Thanks for the call, Dave.
Quiet today. Jake's quiet over there.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Jake, talk to Dave.
It's too early for Jake. It's too early. All right, I'll try to get out, Jake.
I've laid it out, man. You were making points. I'll respond when you concluded your takes. I was intently listening.
Well, what do you have to? What's your opinion? I have to hear Jake's opinion of this.
Well, I do think that Reddick is going to play this year, so I disagree with you with that one. I think he shows up next week. I don't know if he plays week 1. If I had to bet, I would say probably not. But I do think he's not an idiot in regards to the fact that, as Boy Green pointed out, he needs to get paid, and he needs to go out there and play well. So if the Jets don't pay him, which I don't think it will be, the Jets giving him this long-term deal, he could go and get that 2-year Daniil Hunter-style contract from somebody next offseason if he goes out there and has a 5th straight double-digit sack season, which even if he misses week 1, with this defense playing with more leads in this scheme, he's still capable of doing that. So, yeah, you make a good point with the injury stuff, right? What type of shape is he in? And that's why I would expect the Jets to be cautious with putting him out there if they don't think he's ready to go. But I think he shows up next week, so he gets that first game check. And my expectation is he either plays the Titans game or he plays the home opener against New England.
Yeah. Well, let's hope he signs, and let's hope everything's going to work out this season. We have to. It's now or never. We all know that. It's time. The time has come.
100% it has, Dave. Thank you very much for the call. We appreciate it. Jake, one more before we get you out of here. It's just a question. I saw people bringing it up, and people were bringing it up on social media. Mike White, he has hit the free agency streets. And at one time, yes, when he was our franchise quarterback for 3 minutes. What could have been? Who knows, I suppose. But now that he's hit free agency, I've heard some people say he could be our QB3 on the 53-man roster. I've heard some people say he could be like our third emergency quarterback on the practice squad. Do you have any interest in a Mike White reunion tour?
So I do. I don't think it will happen because I think Mike White is good enough to be a number 2 for somebody in the NFL. So I don't think he would sign with the Jets to be clearly the third quarterback. That said, I would bring him in because as much as we love Tyrod Taylor, he's been injured a lot when he's had to play. So you can never have enough quarterback depth. I know some are saying, well, they have Adrian Martinez. And yeah, Adrian Martinez did some nice things, but Mike White has actually done some nice things in games that count against legitimate NFL teams. Like he beat a Bengals team that ended up going to the Super Bowl that year in his first career start. He had the moment against the Bears in the game I was at in the 22 season. I'm convinced that, if Braxton Berrios catches that pass and maybe Mike White never gets his, ribs destroyed by Milano the next week, they make the playoffs in 2022 after they were 7-4. So I think he'd be a really good ad. I just don't think it's going to happen because he's going to get a chance to be someone's number 2 quarterback.
I think you're right. I think someone else will give him a QB2. I lied. There's one more here. Yesterday, I saw from Bleacher Report that the Jets are the new betting favorites in the AFC East as top billing from DraftKings. Obviously, a big thing that happened, speaking of Milano, he goes down. He's one of the best players on the Bills roster, one of the best linebackers in the NFL. He goes down likely out for the season, so I'm sure that might have been a contributing factor in all of it as well. What do you make of that? What do you make of the Jets being new number 1 in the AFC East?
By the way, John Sauer goes, and he sucked also. Mike White, if Mike White sucked, what was Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, and Trevor Siemian? I mean, please. I'm not sitting here telling you Mike White is great, but Mike White was a competent quarterback that you could have won games with. He did win games. We saw it. So let's stop with that. As far as the betting odds, Jets should be the AFC East favorites. If you just look at the talent, I mean, here's the thing I always come back to. Have the Bills gotten better this offseason? Have the Dolphins gotten better this offseason? If anything, they've stayed the same. Both teams lost a lot of key players. The Bills have the quarterback advantage. You want to say Allen's the best quarterback in the division? That's fine. Although when he plays the Jets the last 2 years, the Jets have been able to beat him head-to-head with Zach Wilson at quarterback. So I think if you just look at the talent, the Jets are the most talented team. Now, there's questions with the Jets with injury stuff and the coach, I understand, but they won 7 games last year with the worst quarterback situation by far in football and 13 O-line combinations in 17 games. Like, it's not crazy to think that if Aaron Rodgers is still a top 10 quarterback, which I believe he is, but even if he's in the 12 to 13 range, they're not the best team in the division just based on that. And that doesn't even include revamping the O-line, adding Mike Williams. Eventually, I still think Haason Reddick's coming to this defense. Like, that's why I think people are starting to wake up and realize, Jets are maybe a team to watch, and that's why the odds have moved. Plus, Milano's now hurt for the year for Buffalo. Miami still has questions if they're just a paper tiger, 1-5 against teams with a winning record. Tua's never won a game when the temperature dips below 45 degrees. A lot of questions with those other teams, questions with the Jets, but the talent, I think, is the greatest for the Jets, which the betting market now, I think, is catching on.
I hope a new ball cap both of us buy is the 2024 AFC East champions, baby. It's I saw people buying the old school. Apparently, they're still selling old versions of the 2002 Jets divisional hat. I'd like a brand new one, baby. Jake, before we get you out of here, set us up for what we have going on this week on the award-winning Jake Asman Show.
Oh, man, we have a lot. Now, I would say nothing, though, is bigger than this upcoming Thursday at 4:30 Eastern time. When Boy Green joins us. Typically, it's a Friday spot, but due to scheduling this week, it is a Thursday spot. So I am excited for Paul to come back on the show. We will have a ton of great content before then. After then, I'll be live today with Robbie Sabo from JetX at 4 Eastern to react to the Jets' initial 53-man roster. I have Dan Grassa coming on the show tomorrow morning. He does Jets pre and post. And he's a coworker of mine at ESPN New York. So some good guests over the next couple of days, and I'm sure there'll always be something with the Jets to talk about. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
And for those who don't see the show, again, and I appreciate it, Dave saying the two best, Paul and Jake here on the channel, those are the funniest shows I've ever done in my life. And I've had the pleasure of doing radio shows all over the place, digital show. Boy, I am like laughing my ass off, which probably, I guess, from a professional suit and tie thing, I don't know about all that, but I am like laughing my ass off every single time on those shows. So I can't wait, Jake. That's great. And they're streaming on both of our channels. So thanks for carving out the time, brother, and enjoy the rest of your day. We'll link back up on Thursday, man.
My pleasure. And by the way, I do want to say this. I'm hosting a watch party for the Jets-Niners game at T-Squared Social. It's in Midtown Manhattan. So if any Jet fan is in the city or Long Island, Westchester, Connecticut, Jersey, the location of T-Squared Social is right next to Grand Central Station. So it's very easy to take the train in, and you'll be there in 5 minutes. It's right next to the train station. So if you want to watch Monday Night Football at a great venue with a bunch of crazy Asmaniac Jet fans, the info to RSVP is all over my channel, on my social media. So hopefully we get a packed house. We had 200 people show up for a preseason watch party a few weeks ago for the Panther game. So I can't even imagine what the energy is going to be like for Rodgers' big return on Monday Night Football.
That's true. All right. Actually, hang on one second, Jake. So first off, Dewey Nation, let's get Charles Gorman on here. I will say Charles Gorman actually called into my last show with Connor last night. I was like, whoa, Charles Gorman. He was up late, and he joined that show with me and Connor, which went like an hour and a half last night. So shout out to Charles Gorman for that. Do we know if Charles Gorman is going to be at T-Squared Social?
You know, he's been invited, but he's made it very clear that he has to ask his parents for permission first. So I'm hoping he gets the approval.
Well, he's a grown-ass man. He certainly has the ability to be able to do that. And Jake, speaking of your T-Squared Social, I saw the little Instagram video highlights. There's a football simulator, golf simulator. Man, it seems like a T-Squared Social. I'll give you another second here to do some plugs. Boy, they have everything on top of the game and the bar and the food and the drinks and all that. It seems like they got a lot of additional extracurricular activities, man.
Yeah, it's a great venue. The size is awesome, but as you said, they have these simulator bays that have like every sport, including 2 different football games you could play. TVs everywhere. We're going to have drink specials, food specials. And to me, a big selling point besides the convenience of being able to take the train from anywhere in the tri-state is the fact that if you're bringing your significant other, there's things they could do if they're not into the game, which I think is a nice little plus if you're trying to get the significant other to come out and make a night of it for that Monday nighter.
And the last thing I would just say is I love that you brought the Jake Asman gear where there's a backdrop and you're like interviewing people and getting like, you know, you're asking like these very interesting questions. They give you answers and then you put it all out on social media. So, yeah, man, it looks like a great time. So I can't wait. Again, that is Monday Night Football. A lot of us aren't going to be out there, I would imagine, on the road for Monday Night Football there. We will be there for the home opener. But for another way for us to all celebrate and get together. If there was 200 people for a preseason game, Jake, I can only imagine what the showing will be with all the Asmaniacs showing up in full power for Monday Night Football. Well, thanks for joining the show, buddy, and hopefully you get an awesome crowd for that, man.
Can't wait, Paul, and I'll talk to you on my channel and yours on the simulcast Thursday. So it's big day for the Jets. Let's see what happens.
Let's go. All right. And guys, make sure you check out the Jake Asman show, where he'll be again reacting to all that live. Robbie Sabo is coming that as well. All right. Let's keep going with the phone lines. You guys can also like the video, hit subscribe. We have 1,000 people in the room, so we are popping here on a Tuesday, which is terrific. So, all right, let's go to our next caller here. We've got Tim from Fishland. What's up, Tim?
Going on, Paul?
Hey, good to see you.
Back on what you guys were talking about with Mike White, I think they definitely need to go after him.
Oh, yeah, you're for it? Okay, cool. Yeah, let's bring him. I think he's an upgrade over Adrian Martinez and Andrew Peasley, so why not?
Yeah, exactly. And what happened to you last night? You let a 13-year-old beat you.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty embarrassing. Here's the thing. I think this is my truth that I've never shared before. But I think Dan O'Brien might have – I don't think he said it on the show last night that he called into. I don't want to say it this way. I want to say it a different way, but I'll just say this. I play to my competition. So like, if I'm playing at my house and I'm just messing around, like me and my dad play Madden all the time. Every game is for the most part close, but I feel like my dad plays once a year when we link up. I play all the time. So, like, in theory, I should be smacking them around. And every once in a while I do. But for the most part, the games are close. when I play online, I'm playing some random boob. When I'm just doing online head to head, I never stream any of those games because I'm not like talking a lot of crap to Soldier Ninja 445. I'm just handling business. So my mic's on mute and I'm just smacking them around and I'm just putting in wins and like there's no
let me give you a
interaction.
tip because I watched the beginning of it and I could see exactly what he was doing. He was just running around with Lamar Jackson on you. So what you needed to do is put the line into a QB contain and take one of the defensive ends and put him in a spy.
Yeah.
All right. So as soon as he wants to roll out to the right, that shit's covered up.
Yeah.
Okay. He can't run. If there's a QB spy, he's not going to be able to run. The guy's going to go and tackle him regardless, even if he breaks contain on the QB contain.
He did that every
and
play.
usually have like a man underneath type of defense underneath because he wasn't. It looked like to me he didn't want to pull the trigger downfield. You know what I mean? Even if somebody was open, he just wanted to run. So I don't know. Listen, my man, that game is absolutely ridiculous when you get to a certain rank. It is so hard to play some of these players it's absurd their defenses that they come out in. Okay, like they literally, you know how they'll go in, they'll literally change each defender's assignment. On the play.
Whoa.
And it's just it could be suffocating, dude. Like it's absolutely you can't do anything. All right, like, and another thing that's driving me nuts about that game is like, how come I can't cause a fumble, but somehow, some way, these people cause a fumble. You know what I mean? Every time.
Oh yeah, that's super frustrating. It's just debilitating when fumbles are happening.
You know, but the game is it gets hard once you get to the champion hero rank. It gets really, really, really hard, especially.
I will enjoy the waters I'm swimming in. Then I won't swim
especially from the defensive, from an offensive standpoint. Like you really creative, and you gotta pay attention to leverage. You got to pay attention to what they're doing because some of these people, they're so damn good at user coverage. Okay. You could have a spot, but one thing that you need to self-scout yourself is when you line up in defense, where's your weakness? You got to find that weakness. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I'm learning. It's a process. It really is, man. Like it's difficult. It really is when you get to a certain rank in that game. So I'm forewarning you if you get there.
I appreciate that, man. So I'm going to keep chipping away. I played a couple online games last night after I played Connor, and I was on like a 5 or 6 game winning streak. So I was like, okay. Or people rage quitting.
I punched a hole through my wall the other day. That's how bad I was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I will just say, I hope that you told me that. Well,
put it this way: I took Yabo out of the fullback. Put it this way: I took Yabo out of the fullback role because he every time I have to throw it to him, he fumbles the damn ball.
Oh, well, it
didn't even have to be a hit stick. You see what I mean? Like,
yeah. I would just say though, the thing that I'm just hoping for is that I'm able to just go back to that level of consistency. So we'll see if we can.
Well, no, I watch these kids online, like these pro players, and it's like, how the hell do you even have enough time defensively to go through all those defensive adjustments? Like the shit they do with their controller, like I can do like maybe half of what they can do. Okay. It's absolutely absurd. The stuff that, you know what I mean? Like you hear their controller clicking this way, that, blah, 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 blah. Like, and I guess apparently Madden, they got a new feature this year. So if you're in coverage, as long as you're not a D lineman and you're in coverage, if you flick the stick in a certain way, it'll go to the nearest defender.
Oh, well, I've never heard
the
of
right
that.
stick.
Okay. All right.
So you can actually play all parts of the field, but it's so hard to do that if you're not used to doing that. You see what I mean? And if you don't do it right, you can give up a big play.
Yeah, well, I'll have to watch out for that, and hopefully I'll open it back up to play Tim from Fishland and K-Brox and all these other guys. I will get back into the Madden flow. I haven't been playing a lot with all the work, but we'll get back into it for sure. Tim, appreciate it, brother. Thanks for the call, man. thank you for calling into the program. Again, we have over 1,000 people in the room. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. Also in the YouTube description is how you can become a member to the Boy Green Coffee Club. So feel free, join the Boy Green Coffee Club here at the link. It is the second link, I believe, in the YouTube description. So you guys can join the channel, get a loyalty badge, all the emojis, and of course, access to our Discord channel, which is a lot of fun. Let's go back to the phone lines. We got EZ here on the show. What's up, EZ?
Hey, how you doing?
Excellent, man.
So I have a question. If it comes down to Irv Charles or Codrington, who do you take?
Codrington.
Me too. Hey, that kid you had on last night, he's going to be something.
Oh yeah, Connor's pretty good, man. He like I said, he was on the Rich Eisen show, and I think he's just going to blow up. And by the way, shout out here, I see to 411 gifting a membership, beautiful. You are now a member of the Boy Green Coffee Club. Shout out to 411 on New York Sports, aka Uncle Tio, for gifting that membership. We love it. Spread the love, baby. Hashtag pay it forward. Let's keep it going here. Again, we've got we get these shows going on during the season when we're getting over 1,000 people in the room, baby. This thing is just growing to a great level. So shout out again to 411. But back to your point on Connor, yeah. Connor's great, man. Again, I don't know what the hell I do know. But I can't say that on whatever the show is. I know what I was doing at 13. So good for Connor, man. It's awesome. He has a huge head start on a lot of us who are in this business.
When I was 13, I was figuring out hiding places for Playboy and Penthouse.
See, and look at him. Like he's going to broadcasting camps and all these other things. So good.
Well, maybe we should get him a subscription to Playboy or something. Broaden his horizons.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't think his mom and pop would like us too much if we did that.
Probably not. I think a gradual progression there. Birds.
Yeah, he's too young.
Conversations. Yeah,
he's too young. If he was 15, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Anyway, the kid's gonna be he's gonna be a force. I predict it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think your prediction is right.
There's only two people in my life that I have known that knew exactly what they wanted to be from a young age. My cousin Bob, he had all these, like, in his bedroom, he had all these CB's Can Do posters all over his room.
Uh-huh.
And he went to VMI, graduated with honors. That's Virginia Military Institute. Graduated with honors. And became a full captain.
Wow.
He was just below an admiral, and he was the commandant of the Philadelphia Naval Base. So he basically was the #1 CB on the East Coast of the United States. Talk about knowing what you want to do. Yep,
that's for sure.
And this kid knows what he wants.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I respect it.
At a young age. Oh, yeah.
Important. Right. There are people who go to college and they're like, well, let me do some general studies for the first 2 years until we figure it out. So no doubt about it.
I still don't know what I want to do. That's why I'm driving a garbage truck.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, make as much money as you can in the meantime while you're figuring it out. That's the best compromise there.
I think when I retire, I'll restore old cars. I've seen a bunch of old cars being listed for reasonable prices. I mean, we're talking $3,000 for an old Camaro. That's worth that's worth a get. Yeah, probably needs about $10,000 worth of work. But when you're done with them, you can sell them for $50,000. So
exactly, make your money back.
You got to invest it though. Anyway, one more football question. Yeah. Reddick, what is the drop dead date before he can't even play on the first week? Would you say September 2nd or something?
Oh, yes. For the game check. Yeah, Rich Samini apparently told that to Jake. It's September 2nd or the 3rd. It's right after Labor Day. If he doesn't report by then, he won't get his game check for the week, so he has to show up ahead of time for that. So, yeah, 2nd or 3rd. Yeah.
He's still losing money every day he doesn't show. I don't know why at this point he just doesn't hold in. At least show up at camp.
Right, and stop the fines at the
he's
at a
bleeding
minimum.
cash. He's bleeding cash. I've never seen anything so stupid. Now Trent Green, he's a different situation. They gotta have him. Was it Trent Green?
Trent Williams.
Williams.
Yeah,
the guy in
Trent
the
Green's
Frisco.
the former quarterback that got hurt. Like Kurt Warner got his chance.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you were telling an old Trent Green story. Yes, Trent Williams. Yes, the left tackle of the 49ers. Yes. They need him.
They got to have him. He's the best. First off, he's the best in the league at what he does.
Yes, of course.
Which means he's the best in the world at what he does.
Yes, 100%. He was ranked the number 7 overall player, not just offensive lineman, number 7 overall player in the NFL this year in the top 100. He is awesome. He is terrific. And if he's not there, I got to look up who the hell the 49ers backup left tackle is. But either way, that's good news for the Jets. Like, if Haason Reddick doesn't show up, like, sure, the defense isn't as good without Haason Reddick, but you could get another pass rusher. If your left tackle isn't there, you can't just plug in another left tackle. So, that could be bad news Bears.
Will McDonald on a 3rd and 7. I mean, you plug him in, he's good. That's his game. That's his game. Remember we were talking the other day about people's games. I was talking about Sauce. Interception's not his game. He's more concerned with making. If it's a choice between him ball hawking and possibly missing it, and then the guy making a catch and going for a touchdown, he is just going to go up and swat the ball down. He's not going to take that risk. And that's what I like about Sauce. He's more about the team and protecting field position than he is about trying to grab a ball. Now, like we were saying yesterday, if someone throws him a floater, I mean, he's not against grabbing it.
Sure, right. I'm happy.
But he's not going to take a risk and ball hawk and miss it and have a guy get a touchdown. That's not his game. Yeah. His game is purely defense, and if you throw me an interception right at me, so be it.
For sure, 100%. So I'm excited. We'll see what plays he ends up making this season, Easy.
Yeah, man. You got a lot of people watching, a lot of people on the phones. I'll leave it to the next guy. Take care, people.
All right, thank you, Easy, for joining us here on the show. 1,050 people apparently are watching the show right now. We appreciate you. Shout out to Jake Asman for joining us earlier here on the program. Yeah, the Jets are currently a 3.5-point underdog to the 49ers right now. We're 13 days away from that game between Jets and 49ers. 49ers a 3.5-point favorite at home. And that line opened at 7.5 or something a bunch of months ago. And boy, how the times continue to change. All right, everybody, make sure you guys are liking the video, hitting subscribe, baby. We're live every single day at 7:30 in the morning for Boy Green Daily. We're also going to be live again in a couple of hours. We'll be reacting live to the latest Jets roster cuts. I'll be live at 3 o'clock with my guy, James Woody, and we'll be talking about all the latest roster cuts that will happen. And let me set you guys real quick for what we have coming this week. Got my little notebook here, okay? So we just had Jake Asman, so shout out to Jake for joining us this morning. We got the Woody Show that comes at 2 o'clock, or 3 o'clock, later today. We have Nick Ferrier, our Jets reporter. He joins us tomorrow morning at 7:30 for Boy Green Daily. He also joins me on the radio today. If you guys enjoy more Jets content, I'll be on the radio, later today talking Jets at 10:30 on the Man Shout Show with Boy Green on the Score 1260. So if you guys want some Jets talk, it's there. And then on Thursday, we'll have Ian O'Connor, a New York Times best-selling author 4 times over for this book, baby. It is Out of the Darkness, The Mystery of Aaron Rodgers by Ian O'Connor. There you go. Through the book, and we'll have Ian on, and we'll blitzkrieg him with questions on the book about Aaron Rodgers. Plus, look ahead to the Jets' 2024 season and all kinds of unparalleled access to Aaron Rodgers for this book. And he flew out to Malibu to sit down with him in his beautiful home. And there's a lot of good details in this, and I'm looking forward to that conversation as well. So Ian O'Connor, that'll be coming up on Thursday. I'll also, for all our Asmaniacs in the crowd, I'll be joining Jake for our normal weekly show at 4:30 on Thursday. So I'm looking forward to that as well. That should be an absolute doozy. All right, everybody. Well, I just want to thank you again for chiming into the show. We appreciate you. Thank you for all the calls and the super chats and everything and the like. We will part company, and we will be back, like I said, in a couple of hours for our show with Woody coming up at 3 o'clock. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in, whether you watch live, whether you watch after the fact, or the audio only version, which you guys can check out wherever you find your podcast. Simply search for Boy Green Daily. Make sure you guys interact with the show. That helps, keeps everything alive, like I said, by liking the video and hitting subscribe as well. FL Phil says, Boy Green will be able to call this afternoon to discuss cuts. I'll ask Woody, and we will try to open up the phone lines. That'd be a lot of fun to have some callers as well. So I'll see if I can open up the phone lines from there as well. Love it, everybody. We'll see you. Enjoy.